What's up, everybody? Tonight we got a special project in the shop. Guy I work with brought his Rzr over and he asked if I could build a new induction tube to replace this flimsy-wimsy, and we're going to build it out of aluminum pipe with pie cuts. It should be pretty simple. The only complication I really see, there's actually a double offset. They're not in line, so we're going to have to offset it just a little bit, and then we're just going to connect those with just a rubber firm toe. So that's what we're working on tonight. Let's get rolling. So what we've got to do now is we've got to figure out how big of pie cuts we want to take. I'm not a pie cut pro, but what I do know is you basically have to take the size of your pie cut and divide it by 2. And that's what you set your saw at. So if we have a 30-degree pie cut, that means this is a 15-degree angle and this is a 15-degree angle. That means we're going to get 30 degrees out of this. That means by the time we add 3 of these together, we should have a 90-degree angle. So I think what we want to do for this particular job, instead of going 30-degree pie pieces, we probably want to go 7.5 on the saw, which would give us a 15-degree, which means it'd take 6 of them to make a complete 90. And the reason I say I think we need to do that is because we've got that double offset to where we've got to come up and then we got to turn and go in. That'll give us more room to be able to rotate the pie pieces so that we can twist and turn and then turn in. I think we'll set the saw at 7.5 degrees and cut one and see how it turns out. Okay, so we're going to take our protractor, we're going to set this at 7 degrees, then we're going to take it over to the saw. It's actually 7.5 degrees. We're going to go over to the saw and we're going to set our blade with this. Okay, so we're over here at the saw. We're just going to loosen our backstop. I don't have a fancy miter saw, so this is all I'm capable of doing right now. So I get my angle set right where I want it, and then tighten this back down. That should give us our 7.5 degrees, which in turn will give us a 15-degree pie piece. Okay, so the next thing we got to do is we got to mark our pipe on the center halfway up the pipe so that when we cut our pipe piece the angles aren't ski-womper. The best way I've found, maybe you guys will figure out a better way, what I've done is I've taken a Sharpie and I've mounted it in my mag base here for dial indicator. I've mounted a Sharpie in it and I've set that right at 1 3/4. Okay, so now I take the magnet off and I'm going to bring the Sharpie in. And I picked the one Sharpie that doesn't have ink. Woo! Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this in here and I'm just going to, with the magnet off, I'm just going to drag it across the table and mark my 1 3/4. Okay, that may not be the best way, but it's the way I'm going to use. Okay, so on this one, just going to do the same thing. Going to come over, drag this across here, give us our mark. You son of a... You want to make sure your table's nice and clean, because I got screwed there because there was a berry under it. But so that should be good enough for what we're doing. Okay, so we made our first cut We just check and make sure it's square. So I'm just using my calipers here. I got them set at 1 3/4 so the line was where it needs to be. Made our first cut, and then we're gonna rotate it 180, and we're gonna check it. Then we're gonna take our measurement, and obviously the wider our pie cut is, the sharper the radius will be on our bend. So we probably want to go about 1 inch on our small side of our pie piece. Okay, there's our first pie piece. Looks nice and square, so we'll go over to the Burr King and knock off the burrs. Cut a few more. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and throw a 120 grit belt in our belt grinder, the old Burr King. And then we're gonna polish these up. Okay, we're over here at the table. We got our old Synchrowave set up. We're just getting ready to tack these together. We're gonna start with our pie pieces and our 90s. We're gonna try to tack them all together before we put the long pieces on, and make sure that the offset looks good, and check it with some levels and squares and stuff. And then we'll do the 2 long pieces last. Part of the reason that you put a line on those isn't just to cut them, but when you fit them, if you've cut them square, the lines will line up on this side and this side. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that helps you line them up so they're square. So we've got to come up so far, and then we've got to turn them, you know, depending on which way we need the pipe to go, and then square it back up. So it's going to be a little tricky, but we'll get her. Better turn the gas on. You'd think after doing this for 12 years you'd remember that. Try it again. There, hook it on there. Okay, we've got 1 piece left to tack on here. And we've got marks laid out on the table so that we can see what our offset needs to be. It's 3 1/8 inch. So we're gonna get this last piece tacked on and then mock this up and see if it's level and the offset's right. So we've got our piece all tacked up. You can see it's got a kind of a sweep on it. We just took a measurement. What I did was I ran these wild. I'm gonna cut these ends square and start leveling it, matching up where everything needs to be so that they all tie in at a perfect 90. So we got our tube here. We got it all rough tacked up, and we made our final cuts, and as you can see, we are right on the money. If you check it with a level, we're level both this way and this way. Okay. And then there's kind of a funky angle you can see on both the bottom and the top to get them both to meet up level. We got her did. So now all we got to do is weld it out. We've got to pay special attention to not putting too much heat in it, so we're going to weld probably half on this side, half over here, and then we'll let it cool, and we'll just bounce around. You can see there's going to be quite a bit of welding there. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're shining up our intake pipe that we've got complete. You can see we've got it all welded out, and now we're just shining it up. So, you know, the factory pipe has these marks on it from when they produced it, so we're just going to shine it up. He's going to get it powder coated, so it really doesn't matter, but I just want it to look nice for the customer and have it just ready to go ahead and powder coat. So what we're using is we're using some Scotch-Brite, and that buffs it up really good, shines it. And then I'm also using this Milwaukee die grinder with a Scotch-Brite pad on it. I just buy them off of Amazon, but they clean it up really well. That's what I've been using to buff around the weld where the cleaning marks are. So anyway, that's what we're doing now. So we're gonna go ahead and get it cleaned up, and then we'll take it over and hold it up on the machine and see how it looks for a final product. Okay, so we got our intake pipe up here. We just got it set there. He didn't bring me the pieces to put it on because he's just gonna take it to powder coat right after. I was pretty happy with how it turned out. We got it all buffed up and it's ready to go. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. Okay, so we've got our start over. And as you can see, if you step over here, as you can see, as you step over here, as you can see, there's an offset. So, are you looking at this? And I picked the one Sharpie that doesn't have ink way